What's up, everybody? My name is Harrison. Welcome to Hanging at Harry's. This is my wife, Samantha. We are going to be doing a full recap, review, reaction to season 1 of The Last of Us. Now, I'm going to start by saying that I had actually zero expectations going into this show. I knew that it was based on a super popular video game, but I have never played the game before, so I don't know anything about the story that's coming. I didn't really know much about the characters, so I was really excited to give this show a shot. And what did you have any knowledge or know anything about this?
No, I didn't. Not at all. I'm not a video game person.
You're not a gamer girl?
At least that. The only thing I've played is Mario Kart and Super Mario Bros.
Nice.
And other Nintendo games from a long time ago. So, no. I played Call of Duty before. And Halo. But very, very, Minecraft too. Sorry, this is not the point.
Well, there's no shows based on those
Anyway, there could be. There's a movie coming out of Mario Brothers. So, don't even... So no, I knew nothing about The Last of Us. I think the only thing I knew was that there was zombies. It was the apocalypse, but that's pretty much all I knew about it. So I didn't play the game. I didn't really know what it was. So I had zero expectations as well.
Nice. So we both went into it blind, and honestly, the show is awesome.
It's pretty good.
HBO usually has very high quality looking shows. Usually storytelling is solid. They've definitely been famous for winning awards. A lot of their shows are award winning because of those two things, and of course other things. But yeah, sometimes HBO they hit their mark and they win a bunch of awards, and then sometimes they just kind of go off the rails and make some really weird crap. This show seems to be in line with that first track of really incredible production value, cinematography, sound design, even the prosthetics of the characters, the clickers, or I don't know if all of them are technically clickers.
Because
there's different versions
some that are
of
clickers,
the infected.
There's some that are not.
Yeah.
So clickers can't see, but there are some that can.
Right.
So yeah.
Those guys look awesome in all of the prosthetics and stuff. So it's been amazing to watch. So let's go back and go through each episode, talk about, just sort of recap what happened in each episode, and then just sort of reflect on just how awesome this first season was. Ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So let's start with the pilot, which is almost an hour and a half long. I don't know if you remember this, but it was a long pilot episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a lot happened.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half of just constant world building and world establishing.
It was built and destroyed the world in about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
In about an hour and a half.
Right, because we start before the apocalypse.
We're getting to know characters.
The characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then everything goes crazy. Infected start running everywhere. And then the rest of the episode is pretty much just following along in the post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
But
just a warning, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show, don't watch this.
Yeah. But I would say it's one of the most engaging pilot episodes that I've ever seen. I am usually very critical of pilot episodes for new shows because they need to hook you in. They need to do something unique in order for me to want to keep watching. And I feel like The Last of Us absolutely nailed their pilot episode.
Yeah. I think it was good. I don't remember it all the way through. Don't even remember the last scene of the pilot. But I remember the key details of what happened, which were crazy. Because it started with
the grandma.
Joel, it did start with
the grandma infected.
Yeah. Well, it didn't start that way. It started with world building. It started with introducing us to Joel's daughter.
Yep.
And it was kind of focused on her for a minute. And so in my brain, not knowing anything, I thought we were going to see her
for a long
the
time.
entire series.
That's a fair point.
I thought she was the girl he was going to be with the entire series. So when she died, I was like, wait, what's happening? I thought she wasn't. And so when she did, I was even more like distraught because I was like, wait, what's going on? Because I really expected her to like make it. You know?
I've seen the video game poster, and I knew that it was Joel and Ellie
and even
was
I
going
saw
to
the
be
poster.
the pairing.
Even I
so
did.
I kind of knew something
I
was
saw
going
the
to happen.
poster and I literally thought it was her. I was like, yeah, it looks like her. I didn't pay attention enough to the poster to like no. So I thought it was him and just a little girl, like his daughter.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is his daughter. I thought like his brother was going to die and then it was just going to be them going somewhere trying to survive. So different than
and
than
then
what
there's
I
the
expected.
time jump.
Yeah.
They jump forward pretty far into post-apocalypse society. Joel is in a totally different area now, and
Fedra, like a Fedra
there's
colony or something.
there's like post-apocalypse government, and then there's like the rebellion with the Fireflies. So there's a new sort of world order.
Fedra kind of reminded me of
fighting.
FEMA. I was like, Fedra, FEMA.
Yeah, good old FEMA.
Yeah, hey, helped me in my time of need. So
anyway, so Joel is in a new place, and at the end of the episode, he and Tess are given a task. Who is a person? Their mission is to move Ellie, who they believe is like the chosen one. She's supposed to be the savior who has a potential cure for the infection, and so they end the pilot episode with their mission to get her to a place where scientists can hopefully get something from her and then recreate this cure so that way the world can be saved, essentially.
And and when I was introduced to like the fact that she was immune somehow, I was like, oh, well, people got to be
important.
She's going to be important, but people are going to be looking for her.
Yeah.
And then in my mind, from all the TV shows, I'm a TV show fiend, okay? From all the TV shows that I've seen, when one person is like, if one person has this one thing that nobody else has, everyone's going to want it and want to like use you in order to like either save everyone else or like save people you love. And so when I knew that, I was like, oh, great. Like she's going to be like wanted or used or something at some point in this series. So
right off the bat, Ellie is very important, very valuable. So moving into episode 2, Joel and Tess, they start their mission, and at the end of the episode, Tess becomes infected.
Yeah.
And we haven't really been with Tess for long enough. Joel, the character, has been, but as an audience, we haven't really seen much of Tess up until this point. She kind of goes out with a bang. She self-sacrifices herself to allow Joel and Ellie to escape.
Yeah.
But she kind of went out pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like it was
interesting because she was
attachment.
introduced to be very important to Joel.
Yeah.
And been in his life for 10 years, like a lot of years.
In the post-apocalypse.
Yeah. Like after he lost his daughter and after he was just after he lost his daughter a few years in. But like, it was like we were introduced, but they were already like we could tell that they were very important to each other and somewhat. And so with how much emotion Joel showed at the beginning, you can only tell so much like of what he cared about. And so, yeah, it was interesting that she had left so early. It's not what I was expecting.
And I think HBO is notorious for killing off popular or main characters. It's just like a known thing for them. Now, of course, this being a video game, that was already a story that existed outside of HBO. That's just like totally probably coincidence.
Oh yeah,
but
she was killed
it just sort of in episode 2, it's already setting the precedence that this is an apocalypse. People are going to die, and it is pretty easy for people to become infected.
Yeah.
Just a scratch or a bite or anything.
Yeah,
really
anything,
simple.
I think. Yeah.
So they've already established the principle that this is a dark show. Yeah. It is grim. People are dying, and it's not very happy.
Yeah, when you're walking into an
2
apocalyptic
episodes in,
show, you got to know that people are going to be dying left and right.
Yeah.
So
moving into episode 3, they kind of go into a side story that apparently is well known in the video game. Nick
one of the
Offerman's
characters is well known. I don't think that story was technically in it.
Maybe the story is modified.
One character that who played?
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman
is the main character.
Yeah, he
saved
known
somebody
in the video game.
Yeah, he saved somebody, and Nick Offerman plays the like apocalypse guru. He's been like stockpiling. He's very like an engineer.
He's prepared.
Very prepared. He's been surviving all by himself. He ends up saving a person, trusting them, and then ends up having a relationship with this person. And so the entire episode is basically their relationship and how it looked in this like safe community away from the horrors of the apocalypse. We do end up finding out that Joel and Tess were connected to these people, that they knew them. So that's sort of how they bring this side story into the main story. Some people didn't like it for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a beautiful picture of like there is still love in the apocalypse, you know, like even though like it's the apocalypse and like so many bad things are happening, that you like can still find love or like still have value in like your life, or like place value on someone else as well. Like just, I don't know. I think that was like, that's what I got from it, is like, it was a nice story that was like,
it was a bit slower pace.
Sad. It was a nice break from all like I mean, like, of course in the end of the episode, they died.
Right.
But it was like, it was a nice break to get away from like the gruesome deaths that we've seen before, you know, and it wasn't a death of like zombies or the infected. It was a death of their own, you know, what is it? Volition.
Yeah. Like their own humanity.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Just their choice.
Taking over. Yeah.
Well, oldness, but sickness, but also like the choice of, do I want to go on without this person?
So
you know,
have you seen Breaking Bad ever?
No.
So there is a infamous episode in Breaking Bad that is called the Fly episode. And literally the entire episode is in one room with the two main characters who are literally chasing a fly around in the room. And it's infamous because it's controversial. Some people love it. They think it's very like symbolic, metaphorical of the main characters. Some people are like, this sucks. It's too slow. It's too boring. Nothing happened. It's not essential. So I feel like this is the Fly episode of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
It's controversial for multiple reasons. Some people think it's amazing. Some people think it's, you know, non-essential. So I feel like we've already reached that point in the show of some controversy in the fan base. And
I think that like those people were probably fans of the video game, and like I think probably have an issue with like detaching like one's a video game and then one's a show. And with a show, you have to dive into different, like you have to dive in deeper into like what the story of the video game is, because it's like you're not playing the game, you're like this is supposed to entertain you and you're supposed to watch it unfold and happen. And so I think adding more of a story to like different things that were like incorporated in the like game is like a good way to like, I don't know, like to story tell. And I think that people just didn't, like the people that were really attached to the video game didn't know how to like differentiate those. It's like, well, we didn't even get to see a storyline, so why is it even relevant in the show? And it's like, well,
you are gonna have that struggle when you adapt something.
You've gotta
people are gonna want a shot for shot remake. Some people are gonna want do something different. So there is that difficulty of which direction you'd go in, and it seems like this show, for the most part, has been pretty faithful adaptation.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so highly rated and people have enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I've heard it's very close for not knowing much about the video game. Yeah. But also, like, I have this, like, mindset of, like, things that are an adaptation. Like, it's very hard to, like, make it exactly the way it's, like, written or, like, exactly what it is in, like, a game or whatever. It's, like, very hard to get the exact, like, thing that people are looking for, like, exact copy, the exact, like, word for word, because it's, like,
they gotta be
book,
original in some
you've got to be
capacity.
original, but you've also got to be realistic of, like, with a book or like details that aren't in the video game that, like, we need in a TV show. It's like, it's gonna be a little different, and you've got to just get used to it being a little different. But yeah, Last of Us has been pretty on point so far.
Yeah.
You know, for the first season.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have enjoyed it.
Definitely. So let's move on to, let's combine episode 4 and 5 together. We'll just call it like the Kansas City package deal. So Joel and Ellie, they are making their way on their mission. They arrive in Kansas City and they get into a gunfight. This is where Joel is fighting for his life and Ellie decides to step out and gun someone down for the first time in the show. It's kind of it's a big moment for her. We're also introduced to Kathleen and Henry.
Dude.
Kathleen is this lady running the show.
I almost forgot about Kathleen.
In Kansas City.
Man.
And she's looking for Henry, who is
so intimidating with her little voice.
Yeah.
She's like the Karen of the apocalypse.
She's the Karen of the apocalypse.
It was like her first scene, I was like, this is Karen. This is the Karen.
Yeah.
She somehow she somehow survived.
Yeah.
So
we're introduced to these new characters, and then in episode 5, Joel and Henry decide to work together to get out of Kansas City. Henry is on the run from Kathleen. Joel and Ellie need to get out of the city safe, so they decide to collab.
Yeah.
And
collab.
They decided to collab on safety and get out of there.
Become what is it? Allies.
Allies. Yep.
Yeah.
So in that process, they're making their way out of the city, but just before they can get out and are home free, Kathleen and her troops arrive. They are able to stop Henry and Joel and Ellie from leaving. And right as they are holding them up at gunpoint, a massive horde of zombies comes up out of the ground and just annihilates everybody.
That was the most satisfying.
It was awesome.
It was the most satisfying thing ever, because Kathleen is like this character that, of course, we don't like, but like the story in like her, it's just her trying to get her revenge for, you know, what Henry did to her brother. You know, it's like what goes around comes around sort of thing, but it's like she had so much like anger and like wanted vengeance and so I think all of her anger kind of like, you know, took her in a place that she deserved, I guess. But it's like, yeah, it was pretty crazy because her comment about like kids die all the time
She was like, pretty brutal.
She was pretty tough. She was really awful. But I think her death was very satisfying because when she turns around, it's a little girl who is infected.
That's a good point.
And I think it's satisfying because it's a child who kills her. And I was like, that is so satisfying because you just like don't care about, like, she was willing to kill Henry's brother.
Yeah.
Just because of Henry.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which that whole ending to that episode with Sam, Sam is infected. After that, Henry ends up putting Sam down because of that. Yeah. And then Henry takes himself out. So that whole episode is just craziness.
It is crazy.
It ends.
It is
kind of unexpected, but it's also just.
And with like Ellie, like wanting to.
Right.
And that was like a moment where we all knew that it wasn't going to work. As viewers, we're watching this and we're like, okay, Ellie really wants to help him, but I don't think that this is going to work out. And so it's like, really, it's like, oh, like, what's going to happen when she wakes up in the morning? And then she wakes up and he's infected and he attacks her. And it's just like, yeah, Henry had to kill his brother. And then it's like, I think his mindset's like, well, what's the point now? Because what I just did was like horrific, but also needed to happen. So like, I guess it's just like, there was a split second thought, but then it was just like such a quick decision for him to like take himself out. And it was just like heartbreaking for like, because of the fact that Ellie and Joel had to watch all of that unfold and like have a part in it as well. It was a crazy episode. Crazy.
Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to give it a like so that way it can spread to more people. Also subscribe to the channel so that way you can see more content just like this. Let's continue with the video. So starting with episode 6, Joel and Ellie are on their way to find Joel's brother Tommy. And they eventually find him in this perfect little town in the mountains. And it's snowing.
They have electricity.
A lot. Yeah. They have electricity. The cinematography of the landscape is just like so beautiful. There's just something about like snow on camera that just looks super cool if you can do it right. And so that whole episode is really awesome. And it ends in a not so awesome way for Joel because he is stabbed at the end, if you remember.
Yeah.
And it is up to Ellie to save him. And that's the cliffhanger of episode 6.
Yeah.
Going into episode 7 is a flashback for Ellie because she is like trying to figure out what she's going to do to save Joel's life. So in episode 7, there's a flashback to Ellie and Riley. Riley is one of Ellie's friends.
Best friend.
It's
her best friend.
Yeah, not just friend, best friend.
She's her best friend.
And they go on this little adventure together because it's Ellie's birthday, I believe. And so Riley takes her into this mall, and it's a very kind of like nostalgic episode.
Yeah.
They're going through the mall, doing arcade, and going through the Halloween store, and it's kind of like a fun, just nostalgic episode. But it ends with both Riley and Ellie being attacked by a clicker, I think.
Yeah, just an infected.
Infected, yeah.
The infected.
I forget what they're called, but both of them are scratched, bit, something. And that is our first glance at how Ellie was bit, infected.
That's how she figured out she was immune.
Right. That
basically
was in that moment. Because Riley ends up going to not live past
well, it
like
ends
the next
with
couple days.
Well, we know how it ends, but they didn't show us the aftermath of Ellie surviving. So it's like at the end they both kind of were like, okay, well, we're just gonna sit here and go insane together. And so it was like Riley thought that Ellie was gonna become like her too, but of course we figure out that that's not true. So yeah, it's an intense 2 episodes.
Yeah. So Ellie is able to keep Joel alive.
Yeah.
That flashback sequence kind of like inspires Ellie to keep going for Joel, to bring him back. And there, up until this point, there's been a really nice like father-daughter dynamic between Ellie and Joel.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like her big moment to kind of like take care of Joel.
Yeah.
Because for a while, Joel has been like the bodyguard, the protector, the father, and Ellie, like this is her moment to put, Joel like above herself.
Yeah.
And so she rises to that task. She does bring him back. And episode 8 is insane.
Yeah.
So Ellie is trying to keep Joel alive, trying to survive together. And this is when Ellie meets a nearby group who at first they seem kind of like an all right group, but we later learned that they are pretty much a cult.
Yeah.
And they are cannibals. and they are led by a guy who is like a pastor, but he's not a pastor.
And he
and
tries
he's
to marry Ellie.
abusive,
He wants to marry her.
Very strange leader of this essentially cult kind of group.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty crazy. Ellie is taken captive by this group at one point, and that's where she learns about like the cannibalism that's happening and the very disturbing things that the group have been doing. Joel is able to heal up somewhat and is coming in to save the day. But before he can do that, Ellie kind of saves herself. Yeah. She has this really kind of like epic moment where she takes the leader down herself. It's very bloody. Yeah. It's very gory.
It's cool because Ellie like gets to like do her own bargain thing of like trying to save Joel. It's like, oh, she ended up being able to get medicine, but then it's like the whole time the cult leader guy knew that they were the people that killed one of their members, is the guy who like stabbed Joel or whatever. But yeah, like it was just like a good tie-in of like these people were around and they're connected, and like all of this just started because they like sort of wanted to attack them, and then ended up it was really crazy episode, especially episode 8, where Ellie had to like kind of fend for herself. But Joel being able to like him being able to get the medicine because of Ellie, and then him being able to find like strength to like kill those guys that were attacking him right as he woke up from being in like basically a coma.
Yeah, that was pretty
basically
crazy.
A coma. I was like, this is so Joel, being able to wake up from a coma and just be able to like, you know, stab 2 guys and like find Ellie. Which I thought was so fun was the fact that I liked the dynamic of her being in the cell and then him coming in and talking to her every now and then, like the leader. And then him being a creep and trying to like, you know, advance, you know, his advances, and like him being like weak and like him trying to manipulate her basically, but Ellie being like, I'm too smart for you.
Yeah.
Like I know what's going on here.
Like
she even figured out that they were cannibals all by herself, you know, which I guess it wasn't really that hard, but it's like, yeah. She was like, they're either going to eat me or I have to marry this man and he's going to like be gross, you know, like just a gross man. But I think it was great that she was able to like save herself, which was really cool. You know, usually it's just like someone comes to save, you know, the damsel, you know, like you expect Joel to like come in at the last minute and like kill him. But it's like, no, Ellie did that herself because she, you know what? He deserved it. You know,
and Ellie is a strong character.
She is
at this point. She is not a little kid. She's like acting like an adult, being able to protect herself,
forced into doing.
And she's also very like verbal.
Yeah,
like verbally kind of aggressive.
Yeah,
and
like she stands up for herself.
Yeah,
you know, which can be aggressive, but. Like her wordage can be aggressive, you know, her saying the F word every 5 seconds is a little aggressive.
Yeah.
But I think it's great that she, as a teenager, is like so good at standing up for herself in situations like that, because I was like, if I was in that situation, I'd probably be really, really quiet and be like really scared. And so I think that like her development has been really great to see. And then her just afterwards, her and Joel like finally reconnecting at the end of that episode was just
where
like
he sasays, "Sweet baby girl, like, I got you."
I was like, this is great. I mean, it tugged at my heartstrings just because like always like daddy-daughter relationships always tug at my heart, like just tug at my heart, you know. And so like because it's just personal, like I have personal like feelings about like that relationship. And so I think whenever I like see a dynamic like that, it's just like very sweet. And like, I don't know, that's like a bond that you like, I don't know, it's just like a really sweet bond that you can't like, I guess, I don't know what to like describe it as, but I don't know. It's just like a sweet bond, and it's nice to see that Joel can like kind of be able to like say baby girl and like to be able to like be emotionally open with Ellie, because so far he's been very closed off, and so now he realizes like, oh, I love this girl, you know, and I want to be her father and I want to take care of her. And it's just very sweet.
Yeah. And it was right timing.
Right timing.
You know,
it wasn't
didn't feel cheap or rushed.
It
or
wasn't
anything.
rushed at all. Like by episode 8, it's like
they've really been through a lot.
They've been through a lot, and it was still like he was still kind of closed off, and you could tell he kind of cares about her, but it's just like, I don't know. But this episode, it's really like, okay, they're in this together. We know that Joel is going to protect her. We know that she's going to protect Joel. And so it's like now they're like have an unbreakable sort of bond at this point. Yeah. So, yeah.
And all of that leads to the season finale, episode 9, which is just wild. So it starts with some backstory on Ellie's birth, which was pretty cool
really
to
awesome.
see.
Yeah.
And so we get a little bit of backstory there for her character, and then Joel and Ellie actually reach the end of their mission. They find the hospital that Ellie is supposed to be brought to, according to the Fireflies. Like that was their mission, was to get her to this place.
Yeah. Man.
We even see the lady who sent Joel and Tess on the mission.
Yeah.
She returns in this episode, and they get there and things do not seem right.
Yeah.
We learn that in order to develop this cure to save everybody, they are most likely going to have to take apart Ellie's brain and create some sort of cure from the cells in her brain. I guess I don't remember the exact science, but it's basically they're going to have to kill Ellie, and Joel does not like that at all.
Yeah.
Joel goes on an absolute killing spree. He takes out a bunch of guards, armed people that are in the hospital. He even takes out one of the doctors, who is like prepared to defend.
I think that was the only doctor.
I
think that was the only one.
And it's Joel just kind of goes into like killer mode.
Yeah.
You see it in his face.
Mass murder.
He kind of switches modes and gets Ellie out of there, saves her from this potential, suicide mission, and takes out a ton of people in the process. The finale ends with Joel essentially lying to Ellie's face about what actually happened. Yeah. And it ends with just this really short moment of Ellie kind of wrestling in her mind of whether she believes him, and she just says, okay.
She chooses.
And then the episode ends. Yeah. And that's the cliffhanger.
I think that this episode was wonderful. I think that the finale was like perfect. I think it like kind of wrapped the first season in a little bow, because it's like when we know this thing about Ellie where she's special somehow, we don't know why, and then like the beginning is like, okay, we see her mother giving birth, which that actress that they had looked like Ellie. Like, and so she played Ellie in the video game. Like she was, But when I looked at her, I was like, well, this is a pregnant woman and she looks like Ellie. And I was like, this has to be the birth of Ellie. And ended up being that, which was really cool. But her being attacked while also giving birth was the most woman wicked thing I've ever seen. It was so cool. It was like her trying to fight him off, and then her getting bit in the process. And then, like, looking down and the baby was born by the time that she killed the infected. And it was like, oh, gosh. And so she made a comment to her friend, which is the one who, like,
Marlene
kind of... Yeah, Marlene. Yes, I knew it started with an M. But Marlene, where she's like, I cut the umbilical cord before I got the bite. In which we're like, okay, so like, is this how Ellie got her like sort of superpower, like how she's immune is like it somehow got through the umbilical cord, and she has somehow a part of her is like infected, but not infected enough to where like she is infected, you know, like she's just like sort of like, what is it called? Like a breed of sorts, like a hybrid sort of. And so like we figure out how that sort of happened to Ellie, and then we, you know, like end with like her finding, like them finding this place, her being like, I want to finish this off, this mission, I want to be able to do this. Joel is kind of like iffy the entire episode because he's like, I want her to be with me, like I want her, like I want her as a daughter. And then Joel starts like opening up emotionally. We've never seen this side of Joel before on screen, like this season, of where he's like so open with who he is and what's happened to him, and like his story about where he tried to like take his own life and like failed at it, and like him being so open with Ellie, and like her just being like kind of closed off because of her like the trauma of last episode. And so she's just like, no, I just want to finish this off. I just want to like, you know, save the world. I want to be able to do that. But yeah, like the hospital, which I was rooting for Joel. It was wild, but I was also rooting for Joel because a part of me, like it's half and half. Half the people like probably shouldn't have done that. Like that's a no. Like you probably should have just you probably should have just let it happen and save the world. Or you're like, no, Joel, get her out of there. Do whatever's necessary to get Ellie out of there. Yeah. And which I was on the side of do whatever it takes to get your daughter out of there. Because my logic for this is that they're gonna kill her, and they might not even know that this is gonna work. You know, like like they didn't have the technology of 2023. You know, like they have the technology of 2003. You know, like they have all they know about the like the human body and like medicine in 2003 and not 2023. So I think it's just like, I think like med school dropouts, like that TikTok or whatever, that video of someone saying it's just like med school dropouts that are like trying to figure out how to save the world, because we all know that the real doctors are probably all dead. Yeah. You know, like the real ones who really know what they're doing, because I just don't, I would not have trusted them either with my kid. Like
people have really like put themselves in the universe.
I'm just, if I would have
tried to rationalize.
If I would have been there, I just don't know if I would have let them do that either. And it was just like it was cool to see Joel just really be like, we've never seen him kill that many people in an episode. And we knew he had a backstory of killing, like a killing background, because of with Tommy, them talking about like what they used to do. But we never seen him really, like we've seen him kill people, but like not like that. And we got to see the side of Joel, like the dark side of like what love can do, you know, and I thought it was cool, and I was rooting for him. And I wanted them to get out of there, and I wanted them to live in peace together. Yeah. And I didn't want Ella to be used, even though she was the one who is immune. I was like, this just doesn't seem right. Like them using this teenage girl to like potentially save the rest of humanity, and like, what are they going to do with the rest of the infected? Like, I don't know. It just seemed like a plan that wasn't really planned out.
And we don't know what the future has for the story.
Don't know that either. Yeah,
could potentially, because neither one of us has played the game. Yeah, just to say once again, neither one of us knows.
We really just don't know the story,
so
guys.
There could be another group that, you know, maybe they're trying to develop a cure.
And him,
or we don't know what's in store, and that's exciting for us because we don't know the story. So definitely just to recap this whole season, it's been amazing. Yeah. The storytelling has been phenomenal, and it's definitely, there's a really nice arc of where these characters are at episode 1 to how they interact in episode 9. So there's really nice development across the whole season, and I'm really excited for season 2. Pedro Pascal, just to talk about the cast real quick, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, they have been phenomenal in the show. There's also just been a really nice like work relationship and creative relationship with the director of the show and the creator of the video game. which I think is awesome that they have been able to collaborate on this and create something that it spans the video game, goes in some new directions. And so, yeah, I think it's a really great example of an adaptation that is done well. So any final thoughts as we kind of wrap up this video?
Yeah, it was just really great. And I can't wait for season 2. And Pedro is great. I'm loving him right now.
Yeah, he's the internet's daddy right now. So
apparently. And then Bella Ramsey, I mean, they're awesome. And yeah, I mean, really cool stuff. Really, really great actors. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching this video. I know it's kind of a longer one than what we normally do, but
so much information to unpack. So much to, recap.
And it was good. I enjoyed this. It was fun. So thanks for watching. Be sure to comment down below if you want to see more stuff like this. And you can click on your screen to see another video of mine if you want to do that. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.